Welcome, folks, to another Trade Picks recap video. Today is Tuesday, December the 9th, 2025. We're up $10, getting back to the routine and reinforcing the fact that day trading is a marathon and not a sprint. So be careful out there. Remember, when you do get into the stock market, no matter which facet of the stock market you go into, you are likely to lose money. It's an up and down market, mostly down for beginners. Therefore, make sure you seek financial advice of a professional nature before you jump in and risk money that you can't afford to lose. Really important. Heed that warning, guys and gals. Our pre-market prep, again, it's going to be the same. We got to do our research, take some time to evaluate our trade candidates, mark out our trend lines for support and resistance, and we wait for the trade to come to us. Now, I didn't follow those rules earlier this morning, but in the end, we stayed green, even if it was a small green. So our P&L for today, we started out down by 11, then 28, then down 45. And then on the last trade, we were able to make almost $60, which erased our losses and gave us a green day. And then at that point, we stopped. No sense in continuing forward. So for the month, we're now only down to 78. We keep chipping away at that big number. And the reason why our efficiency was so good today was because of that one trade. We took 4 losing trades as opposed to 1, so we only had a 20% winning ratio on trades, but we had a big winning trade as opposed to the losing trades, which were a lot smaller on the average, which is a good thing. So your winning percentage of trades really does not matter. It's how much you can make. And here are the trades we took. We started out with NCPL, and we took 2 losing trades on that. We did take a XCUR, and we lost only $2 on that. QCLS, we lost $10, but the last trade of the day for us was NCPL. We went in with 1,000 shares, and we made the right call, made $52, erasing our losses for the day and giving us a $10 bump on the day, which was a good thing. And yeah, but we knew NCPL had an opportunity, and we went in with 240 shares twice. I guess if we could have held it until it finally rose, it might have been okay, but it didn't. So the key was here noting the fact that the trade came to us. We jumped in with the right amount of shares, and we recovered our losing trades, earlier trades in the pre-market, which I shouldn't have taken. I shouldn't have lost to NCPL because I'll show you later when I watch the video. The QCLS and the XCUR, yeah, those were losses. There's no complaining about those. But the other 2 could have been avoided by simply not jumping in. And I'll show you 2 reasons why. So in keeping with our pre-market review, we looked at the top stocks, symbols that were moving. XCUR, we marked out our lines wherever there was a clump of bars. We marked them out. And we used the magenta for questionable that it can hit there. We use the cyan for the upside. If you like our videos, like and subscribe. If you don't, even if you do, leave any comments that you have below what you'd like to see. I do read them all. So XCUR, notice I marked out 3 magenta resistance lines, meaning that it could hit a little bit under $10 as it was trading at 9.35, and that's one of the reasons why I did take a small trade, thinking it would go to 10. PBM had also been moving. I did not like the Christmas tree that it had here from July to August. This is the daily chart that I'm looking at. And I'm marking out resistance, but it did appear to have a little bit of room there from 179 up to about 250 or so. But the volume wasn't there. It just wasn't moving. So we were sort of not thinking that this would have much play in the market. NCPL, this is the one we were looking at, also a Christmas tree from June to September. But this one showed room all the way up to 160 there. And in retrospect, it did hit 185 later in the day, even after I had stopped out and left. ATMC was something that we looked at that had been moving, but this was almost shut down at 93. SNTI was also moving early in the pre-market, and we felt that there was a clump there right around 318, and that it perhaps from 292 to 318, this stock would not rise. So we left it alone. VOR was another one. I didn't like this downturn on the daily here. It just seems silly. But we went ahead and marked it out anyway. We didn't think it had any potential, and I think this is a higher, much higher float. But we marked out what could happen just in case traders began to like it. ATMV was another one, and this one looked good, very lean on candle clumps. I call them candle clumps. That'll work. But we did feel that it was a top. We also looked at NVIDIA here, and I always looked at NVIDIA and always tracking that to see how it's doing. And basically, it's setting up a new channel. It's to the upside only because some chips are going to be allowed to be sold in China, but we don't know what that's going to do. So I think this is going to elevate it a little bit. We still have a Fed decision tomorrow, and tech stocks haven't been doing very well. So I don't know. I think it's high here, and it's going to have a difficulty getting up above 187, 188. So here's the new chart, and you see I've got all the old lines in there. I didn't draw them today. The only ones was that parallel shift, and here's my my thought process on this. I still think this is gonna something's gonna happen that's gonna jolt it back down. The SPY always moves the same way as NVIDIA, so we're drawing out a new channel here to the upside. It looks like it's reversing, going up, but of course, going up means coming down, going back up, and I don't see the same force. There's nothing right now to tell us that that this thing has a good momentum to the upside, and everything as a whole in the economy and the stock market doesn't seem to have anything. We might have some momentum tomorrow if the Fed does cut. Then we went back and we looked at the split charts. So we've got the daily 5, 15, and 1 minute charts up. And what I do this after I mark up the dailies because it allows me to go back in and just take a look. And if I see waterfalls like I see there on the 15 and the 5 minute, then that sort of tells me, you know what, I'm not interested. And NCPL was one stock that I showed no interest on right off the bat, even though I did look at it and even though it was had a lot of volume. But it's another one, like PCMB was the other one last week that surprised me. So did this one. The most difficult stock is the one moving up. VOR, again, it was just to the downside and full of reversals downwards, and the reversals going up weren't that large. PBM was another one that looked interesting. I thought this one may had had an opportunity, but retail traders were not interested. XCUR, here's one. It did have that big waterfall there, but I did wind up taking it. But as you saw, lost a couple of bucks. ATMV was another one. This one looked strong at the top, but didn't make it. GIPR was way too busy. This just had way too much resistance. This stock wasn't going anywhere. I don't even know why I looked at it. I think because it was on the chart. And I don't know what business it had doing in the chart either. Back to ATMV. Like I said, I thought this one had potential, but it didn't. Showed you a brief here to show you the time. It's 5:26 in the morning on Pacific Coast time. And what I do usually is I go through those reviews and then I cycle through the stocks in the broker trader. So NCPL, we started out with our trades on NCPL, even though I didn't want to trade it, and we were watching it here. And this is 5:54 a.m. now. So I've been patient for half an hour and been watching stocks, including NCPL. But if you look on the right-hand side there, and you'll notice throughout, and if you traded yourself and you saw this stock, you'll notice that between 110, 112, and 114, there was a lot of sellers. You got sellers up to 100,000, and then you had buyers. It almost looked like I don't know if this happens. It may happen that the company is selling its own stock and buying its own stock back, and then manipulating it somehow, or the brokers are. But here's the number. So that's the number one reason why I didn't want to buy it. And the second reason was right here. I thought that the stock would go down before it went back up. And that was just based on my technical analysis. And then I had on the zero lag MACD down at the bottom, I did draw a trend line there of what I was looking for it. As far as volume is concerned, where I would become interested. And I did try to buy 170 shares here, even though I had projected that the trend line was downward. But me the dummy, I had it set today and we were in pre-market. So I switched it back to extended hours and increased the amount of shares simply because I saw a little bit of daylight there moving up, even though it looked like a pentatop there. We got 5 widgets here. It does go above. It did look like it wanted to go higher. And I didn't speed up these videos, by the way. I think it's important that folks see in real time what's going on. So here I increase my size, and I feel a little bit more confident that it's going to go up to that upper band of the VWAP. And I'm just waiting for that little move, and I jump in, and it's just not filling. I was about to cancel, and it finally comes back down and fills at 115, which is, I didn't think it was that bad, but the trade really should have begun around 110. And then an exit would have been 115. And meanwhile, on the watch list on the left-hand side, we see the others hardly moving. XCUR is not moving. VOR, SNTI, none of those are moving. PBM, CETX, continuation. ATMC seems frozen at 93. And that was a huge, from $11 to 93 in one bar. And the market looks even keel. It doesn't look like it's hugely interested in going up or hugely interested in coming down, but we do see a lot of red here being sold off on NCPL. And like I said, this was a quite interesting stock that it went through a lot of resistance to get up there. Something that I didn't think it was going to happen. We did not trade yesterday. There was no recap video for yesterday. I woke up after the open, right around 6:34, and my state of mind was groggy. I went back to bed and I slept till 10 a.m. I wasn't going to make that mistake. And today, I didn't think that it would be good because where folks are waiting on the Fed, and I think that that's already baked in from last week. And now people are trying to predict what's going to happen afterwards. And my feeling was that perhaps today wouldn't be a solid day. And my mind wasn't set. Mentally, you have to be healthy physically and mentally to be able to come up to the market, step up to your computer before you start hitting buttons and you start playing with your money. So, yeah. So here we're down $12, and this doesn't look like it's going to go up. 240 shares at 15, so we're out. We get out. Imagine we held this through 150, 160. Would have been nice. But it was what I thought the only play. A little while later at 6:12 a.m. Pacific, it starts to move up again, so we go ahead and hit it. But obviously, it was still in consolidation. This stock had a long consolidation from about way before 6 o'clock and into the open. And I think the most we could have gotten out of this recovery was less than $5, and I wasn't interested in just that. There was too little for me to recover, and now you see why I said don't trade it. If you look over on the right, you see the sellers coming in, and somebody's selling a whole lot of stock there. It just seems like they have a lot of stock to sell. For a low float stock, they're sure selling a hell of a lot. And then somebody's buying it back up. I mean, but the volume was remaining there, especially based on the MACD volume trend line that I drew there. And it looked positive. So oftentimes I talk about why you would not get up exactly just a few minutes before the open and jump in. And the reason is you got time to do your research. It took me 5 minutes to go through the top stocks there and look at the daily and mark out the support and resistance. I don't try to overanalyze it. I just look at the clumps of candle bars and mark lines and give them colors. Simple. 5 minutes, very quick. And then what takes a little longer is half an hour of observing what stocks do during pre-market, depending on how early you get up. But you could get up 40 minutes before the stock market opens, and that would be plenty of time to give you an opportunity to get the feel for the market, to get back in. I still feel like I'm jumping back in again, getting into practice since I didn't trade yesterday. And this is unlike anything Friday. What I saw today is the market changing. So there are big changes here, and now we have to navigate through them because the behavior is different. We had more stocks moving yesterday and today than we've had in the prior weeks. And that presents a problem because that means that traders are split and that the money's going elsewhere. And the folks that buy momentum are not buying momentum together into one stock. What they're doing is the folks that are buying are investors. They're picking up bargains. So you're not likely to see the momentum in one or two stocks. So that's what we want to look for. And that's when you have to be careful. So even though let's say you could call yesterday and today are more bullish type days, if you've got all the buyers spread out across multiple stocks, then it's really not ideal for day trading especially for momentum. It doesn't matter whether you've got news, low float, etc. It's just not going to happen. What's going to happen is this: a lot of consolidation. It won't be until you see that force coming into the market that all of a sudden starts picking up one stock and everybody decides to jump on it and then hits it. And that's momentum trading. And when I talk about waiting for your trade, that's what you should do. Because trying to navigate through this, it's going to be very difficult. And trying to make a whole lot of money and increasing share size on at times like this in any one of these particular stocks leads you to lose money. That's how I got down to $45 because I kept investing in 3 stocks and losing on them because I'm trying to get something out where it's not. Secondary is that I'm not trying very hard, and I'll be honest about that. Is one of the mistakes I make at waiting for the stock to pull all the way back, then buying it before it goes back up again. I can't fathom doing that. It just doesn't work for me. Buy a stock where on a red bar going down. I just haven't practiced that well enough to get in it, and it doesn't seem in the back of my head like it's something that I want to do. I prefer to see the stock go up and buy the top of the breakout and sell higher. But those are even more riskier, and they're even less of an opportunity. So if you're looking here at NCPL, I'm selling right here at 105 when ideally I should be buying 2,000 there. So a breakaway from that, QCLS starts showing a little bit of movement. And we jump in. Sorry about that, had a brief pause there. We didn't quite jump in off that high bar there, but we continue to look at it. And even though it's a continuation stock, this doesn't look bad at all. If it had any momentum, and it did show news, although the news weren't that fabulous. But as I've told you, I don't look at the content of news. I don't evaluate the content of the news. You could have a stock come out and say, "Oh, we found a cure for cancer," and then have another stock that says, "Oh, we're mining Bitcoin for $2 million, and the one for Bitcoin is the one that goes up." So you can't judge the content of the stock, of the news, from whatever stock symbol shows up. So the chart looks good. So does the volume. And but we were cautious. Only went in with 10 shares. And I'm thinking here, well, if it goes up to 950 or 10, if I can get $5-6 out of it out of 10 shares, I'll be happy with that. But the bad news is that the zero lag MACD is starting to close there, and the volume's starting to fall. So and now I've updated the watch list, bottom left hand corner. Now you can see there. I did not. I did record the trade on XCUR. However, that was a long hold, and mostly because I bought it somewhere near $9, and it fell back down, and it came back up, and I was only down a few bucks on it, so I didn't feel bad about keeping it going until it finally decided to not go up, I guess. But one of the reasons why the stock was staying up, or 8-9, was because volume had gotten very low. And you can see there we were down $28 on NCPL already, and that was hovering around the 105 mark. But it didn't show the promise that we saw. So one of those things is, you if you had a magic uh, future crystal ball that you could look into and that you knew, or even looking at these recaps after the fact, it's easy to second guess your entries, right? Was it, well, you went in with 240 shares and then another 240, that's 500, that's over 500 shares, and you should have held it, and it probably would have gone up. Yeah, but what happens when you're holding shares like we're doing right here in QCLS? We're waiting. We're thinking that it's going to be positive, but we're not sure. We have no idea whether, in the next few candles, a bunch of buyers are going to come in, buy it up, and take it to the top, or whether it's just going to, lose its momentum and fall to the bottom. And that's what makes it day trading, and that's what makes it addictive as well. Because you could be sitting here and you could be watching it and said, you know what, I can't just sit and watch. If I just sit and watch, what's the point? How am I going to learn? You can learn. And what you want to learn is discipline. The ability to sit and watch a stock, whether it's moving up or down or however whether you're buying bull or long or short, being able to watch it is going to give you that peace and discipline that you need to implement it in other trades, in other days. It's gotten very difficult for me, but it was finally in November where, October rather, where I realized I can't keep losing money like this. Is this is this is not feasible. I need to turn this around. And that's when I started my November month, where I only had one red day. Of course, I stepped out of bounds, and you saw what happened. A bunch of losing days, and reversed everything for the prior 3 months. And now we're trying to get back up again. So we've had three green days in a row. We didn't trade a couple of days. Uh, we're green today, albeit very small, $10, but it's something. Now we got to prep for tomorrow and see what happens tomorrow. We're hoping that maybe the market will be subdued in the morning and be waiting for to see what happens with the Fed decision. So at this point, it was obvious that this wasn't going to go back up, and that folks weren't interested. But we kept holding it anyway, just because there wasn't anything else. NCPL was still 102, 103, and actually not looking like it was going to produce any action. Um, XCUR, I was still holding, and it looked positive for a minute there. Uh, we're down only 85 cents, and it looked like it might have a little bit more trouble to the upside. But everything else really didn't pan out. So it was as I suspected, and I guess if I had my choice this morning, I wouldn't have gotten up, except that I woke up and I said, "Okay, I'll take a look. It's not going to be a great day, but we'll see." And I think NCPL bailed us out, and it was worth waiting for the one stock. And I did have a little bit of anxiety coming in, and that's why I took the early trades. But it's part of the learning process. Now, when you play back NCPL and you record that in your mind, and the next time there's another stock that you're watching and it's doing the same thing, you'll know, hey, let's look at the level two and let's see how the number of trades that are coming in and how many folks are buying. And if you see that continuously, what was happening on NCPL between 110 and 114, you'd get 100,000 shares being sold. Then it would dwindle down to 70, 50, 36. Then it would go up a few cents and then come back down to 110. And then again, you'd see a whole slew back up to 80,000 sellers. So that was a warning there. There's something at play there, and you shouldn't be part of that because you're going to get eaten up. And that's what happened to us. That's what happened to me in the first two trades on NCLS. And then QCLS was a hopeful continuation shot in the dark. I should have sped this one up. Sorry about that. If you like the content, if the content provides some value to you, like and subscribe. We can use the likes more than the subscriptions. I think we're over 100 subscribers, so thank you to all of those of you that have subscribed. We appreciate it. Um, I'm not in the frame of mind yet to start going back to trading on a daily basis and getting on live. I want to do it because it reduces the amount of time that I spend doing recaps. Recaps takes an hour to two of my time in the afternoons, and it's really bad. I can use that time to do something else. As I mentioned, over the Black Friday, I purchased a rowing machine, so I'm excited about using it and exercising more on that rowing machine. And I also I had my World of Warcraft subscription on hold, and I've gone back to it and purchased that. And uh, Guild Wars Reforged is another game that I really love, and they just re-released it on Steam, and I'm going back to it. And those help me relax. Those games, I play them in the evenings, early afternoons, and they're very calm. Have a calming effect on me. I'm just a casual gamer. I'm not a hardcore gamer, so. But the music, the sounds, and the overall experience is just calm. It has a calming effect on me. That way, I won't be as stressed in the morning when I start trading. All right, so here we finally realize that QCLS ain't going nowhere, so we back out, and then we continue to wait for a new stock to make its appearance, and we continue to watch NCPL at this point. Now it's the open has begun at 6:33 a.m. And though I don't advise folks to jump in the first 15 minutes of the open, uh, this one looked like it had momentum going up. I did not like all of that red bars on the 5-minute oscillator chart, but this looked like it was moving. And something that was missing here, if you look at the active trader window, we're past the 114. We finally broke up to the upside. We're around 125, and it's the number of sellers versus the buyers has changed. The number of buyers is now huge. I thought I had gone in with 1,000 shares. I guess only 500. Oh, okay. Well, that was even better than I thought. I should have gone in with 1,000 because I know I still have about $1,100 left in the account to trade with settled funds. But I made my mind up. I was up $10. I wasn't gonna risk anymore, and I'm done for the day. Go play my games, do the recap, play my games, and enjoy the rest of the day, and do some more of my rowing. So it looked like I got in a little high here at 124, but it was holding, and so I decided to keep it. Now I had already come to terms with the fact that this was probably going to be a $40 loss for the day, and obviously this wasn't helping. But when we got there to 14, $15, all of a sudden I saw it. So here, this is where I should have jumped in with 2,000 shares or 1,000 shares, whatever I could afford, because of course after the fact we knew that it was going up, but here's a nice pullback. If you bought into this pullback, that was excellent. And that we're almost reaching the upper band of the VWAP up there, which is a danger zone. But the 133 tick mark, the 10 seconds, sorry, looks green. The volume has changed. Now if you notice on the 5-minute, the oscillator, now we got two green candle bars. And this right here is classic pullback and purchase on the high of a new candle. So right here, a couple of seconds, boom, right there, 1,000 shares would have gotten me a nice day. But it does move up, and I thought of holding it past 140 and all the way up to 160. I thought that it could make it, but you can't look a gift horse in the mouth, right? So now when you look at our watch list, we're up $23 on this stock and only down 12 on the other two, so that gives us a net profit of $10. So I wasn't about to hold it until as it went higher. And normally this is where I end the video, right? But I wanted to show what happens and the reasons why I get out so early. And folks may say, well, you left money on the table. What I didn't, I could have left money on the market table that no longer belonged to me had I stayed in. That's what I'm trying to avoid. So it goes into a halt at 140. And my thought here is it's just going to waterfall down. This stock does not show any type of strength. It has a lot of resistance from what I recall from the daily and pre-market review. And so I'm being very extremely cautious, and I'm glad that I got out. I momentarily during the wait check ATMV because that one was moving up, but it doesn't show much of a prospect. So here it comes back. It does stay green, but look what happens. And think about it. We know now that it went up to 185 and then it sold off again. But at this time, at 6:43 in the morning, as you're looking at this chart here, there is no way anyone can tell me that this stock is going to go all the way to 185, another 30 cents. And if you look up there right above 160, I've got that magenta fuchsia color looking line telling me that that's or red alert for me, as it were, that I think that's a huge resistance point and it'll hit. And if it does hit, it'll bounce off of it. I've got the other one there almost at 152. You notice, and I drew those lines on what was it, an hour before, an hour ago, and it hit it right on. So it's important to do those reviews and draw those lines because they give you a baseline. Look where it's hovering right now. We got another line right there around right above 140, and that's where it's having struggles. So if you look at these lines, there's one right at 128. That would have been the buy, and 140 would have been the sell. And if you thought that momentum was going to go higher and you were feeling lucky, then 150 would have been the other point. But here, what you see is 4 red bars in a row. There's no reason for to hold 500 shares through this. And there's no bull pattern there. I don't see it. I see 2 wicks. The high a day has a larger wick at the top, though it might be even split. And the one prior to this candle bar that's building right now, it's also longer to shorter on the downside. The MACD is also pointing downward, so is the volume. So there's nothing absolutely here telling us that this stock is going to go up. And if we look at the active trader window in level 2, the thousands of shares that are being sold and bought, the ones being sold outnumber the ones being bought. So sometimes it's best to take your winnings. If you have drawn your resistance lines and you purchase where you ideally think the stock is at a good low price for you, and you sell right before it hits the next resistance level, if it's moving up with momentum, you take your winnings and you move on. Don't go back to it, because what happens is you go back, you're going to wind up losing. Now, like I said, in retrospect, an entry here could have netted you a good amount of money, another 30 cents. But we're in uncharted waters up here. I mean, there's nothing here to tell us that this stock was going to do that. So we continue to watch it. And its price off its EMA is not that large, and I think it's only 8.4% off the 20 EMA, which isn't that high, which tells us that it has room to move. It's only 15% off the VWAP. So it hasn't moved. No matter how the charts can sometimes play games on you, because you can stretch it to look one way or another, or make it smaller, and so the aspect ratio doesn't really give you a good idea. But up at the top, if you look at my labels, I've got one that says VWAP distance percentage. So that percentage tells me how far up or down the stock price is away from the VWAP. So if I see it that it goes above 25, 28%, then I know that it's quite high. The price to EMA, likewise, from the 20 EMA, the further it gets from the 20 EMA, the likely it is that it's going to curl back down and fall, because it has little support. But this one is less than 10%. So obviously it's a good thing. But nothing here is telling me that this stock is going to hit 180. The volume has curled down. Volume is down. MACD is down. So there's no indication, there's no crystal ball here telling us that this stock is going to go that high. So if folks got in it, they were lucky, they were waiting, they jumped in, and they made their money. But I'll tell you this much, I saw folks on YouTube losing right around this area, trying to buy the 136, 137. So now we got red bars volume. Our trend reversal says we're headed downwards. So what this in essence is telling us that first move up may be done, that we may be on the backside now. I don't look at short interest, but I would imagine that, yeah, the folks that took it up high from 140 to 180 were folks shorting it and trapping bulls. And this is what I wanted to show. So while it's easy to, you know, later in the day to make a choice, well, it went up. You just had to hold it, even if, no, just don't risk it. What goes up is going to come back down, and it's going to come back down hard. So, but we saw this stock here. We saw it go back down to what, $1.20 or so would have been a buy, and now it fell back down again. But there's no indication here to tell us that this stock has the strength and that we should buy right now and that it's going to go back up again. And this is what you have to traverse through as the market doesn't hit that perfect bullish trend. It's just it's a what if trend. It's what I would refer to it. We know we want the bulls. We're bullish, and we know we want it to be to the upside. Uh, we hear all the rumblings and all the rumors that a cut's coming, and that's going to drive the market up. That Nvidia is now selling some chips in China, and that uh, the light at the end of the tunnel is near. But all of those are just rumors, and most of those have already been baked into the market. So if you're looking and you're thinking right now, oh, I heard somebody say that we're going to have a year-end rally, that's already baked in. It's already gone and left us behind. The market is looking at 3 months ahead, and right now it looks like it's creeping up, but is being still cautious. Now, I don't want to sound like a doomsday trader either, uh, that puts fear into people and says don't trade because of fear. Not at all. And that is on my pre-market watch list there. If you have FOMO, if you have anxiety, if you don't know what to do, then trust the technicals. If you really feel lost, get out of the live real money and go into the simulator and test your metal there. And testing in the simulator doesn't just mean testing what a stock does, what an indicator does, or your behavior towards an indicator. Test your mental mind, how you deal with the with the stocks. That is more important than what you see on screen. If you can focus your mental mind to a certain discipline, to a certain methodology, to a strategy that works for you in simulation, you can then carry that over into real market and test it. Test it with only one share. The market will always be there. There will always be money to be made, such as this stock proved. You know, I thought it was done, and I got out, made my $50, got green on the day for $10, and I'm done. But somebody else may have gone in right now and looked at it and said, "Oh, this has an opportunity." They went in, jumped in, and they made more money than I did. Kudos to them. But it isn't about what everybody else is trading, what everybody else is saying. Don't listen to the scanners. Don't listen to the other YouTube traders. Concentrate on the screen, on what you see on screen, on your mindset, on your mind, and on being mentally prepared and making sure that you make the good technical decisions that are going to get you green. Everybody have a wonderful day. And I kept referring to today as Monday when it's actually Tuesday. I'm going to have to go back and re-record that. So have a wonderful day.